Hello everyone, today I am back with wonderful Ashala Yardley. Her channel is down below, so check it out. And before we start, I just want to ask you to join my mailing list and subscribe to our channels, because I will be releasing something private only for subscribers that hasn't been posted, and I think you will enjoy that. So welcome back, Ashala.
Hello, Anya. Happy to be here.
Me too. I'm so happy that you're with me today, because today, like I said before we started recording, we're gonna do a little bit Hitchcock style questions.
Oh.
Okay. Certain words I have to be careful with, because we know we don't want to trigger, but I think it's about time to look into a few things.
Okay.
There is a person who I mention often, actually with 2 hour interviews with you, I've mentioned her. Her name is Tori, and she's actually my dream guest, because it's one of my dream guests, but one on the top list, my dream guest. And I actually emailed her last year and I got the response and I was over the moon. And then communication has ended, but I still believe one day she will connect with me. And why I'm so fascinated by this person is because I have been listening to her. It's not 2 years, almost 2 years now. And this is someone who used to work for the dark side, okay? She used to work for Brennan, and it's hard to define because she is so many things. She's the linguist and scientist and time traveler, and she's creating this movement with parents, not putting up with what the school boards are doing. It's a lot, right? The lawsuits, all of this. And where I'm going with this is my first questions about this. There's so much talk right now in US that is dividing people about this 17 thing. I don't want to use certain words because if I say it connects. And that has been this whole psyop, not the number, not the core, but the situations that occur after this has been hijacked for the money, for the power, for the influence, and for all of this. So people, got divided and they are losing hope and they don't know who to believe anymore, who to trust anymore, and it's all confusing. But from my listening to her, and I'm sorry for the long intro, but this is important for the question. Listening to her, I'm pretty sure she is part of that original group, because the first drop that was on 28th of October 2017, I think she did that. And actually I did the reading with Janine a while ago and she confirmed that. So my question is, if she is part of that, and where is this standing right now?
Okay. Well, what I'm seeing is that there's a lot of roads converging. There's a lot of things that have been in the works. I'm getting 40 plus years, actually since the 1940s. So just through World War II and coming into the end of that time period, going into the Cold War era, what I'm seeing is that there's different roads that are converging simultaneously right now, and even heading into the spring. Like by April, it feels like there's a real, I hear the word coalition. And so I agree with you, it's very confusing to determine who's on which side, what degree of, influence or role that they're playing. And, it's almost like double agents or something like that. However, what I'm sensing here is that there's a shift between a lot of the older system, what it represented, the way it was organized, the newer system, the way it's coalescing. And like I say, these roads converging are people that have all arrived at the similar conclusions and are kind of putting aside their differences. Now, I guess what I'm trying to say is it's that people arriving at the same conclusions, perhaps they've been part of different organizations, but there's a coalescing of similar values and intentions, and almost like a remixing of those energies. So with this woman that you've been describing, I feel like there's her energy and others like her, particularly other women, interestingly enough.
Mhm.
I feel as though this coalescing of energies is more driven by several really key women, and that they are, you know, just naturally in their nature, it's somewhat less intimidating to work together.
Is she part of it, Ashala? Can you see it?
I do feel that.
Yes.
I do feel that. I almost feel like a leader in an area, and there's a sense of two groups that may unite, and many roads that are converging by April is what I'm seeing. And it is a fresh approach. It is stabilizing somehow with the global financial system. Yes.
So it's like pulling the weeds right now, kind of.
Well, it's pulling the weeds, but it's also, you know, if you want to use those metaphors, it's like building new machinery. Like it's, like they were almost showing me like putting together new equipment to.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I feel like technology is implicated here.
Yes,
and
actually,
so
oh my God, it just came to me. I'm so sorry. Because she's working on the blockchain technology. So that,
I was going to say technology and finance.
wow.
And this is part of what I was saying about feeling over the last couple of weeks, about feeling this support system that's already in place. That 6 Pentacles, it's like, it's foundational. It's also balance and reciprocity. It's like win-win situations.
Amazing.
And the rise of the feminine, in this case, we have our Empress. And she is connected to, you see the fellow there who has his eye on the big global situation from a higher perspective. And then on the other side, we have our Fool and the end.
Ten of Swords.
Yeah. 10 of Swords, the end of the old ways. You know, the Emperor in the center here, which is, again, like I say, a lot of that, the old system, the patriarchy, the dominant system, power dominance, and the new system that replaces that, like, you know, justice in all its forms comes around eventually. Like there is a great balancing or a great leveling.
This is such a great reading because you literally had painted a picture for me, how this all intertwine. It seems like it's coming from different areas, but it kind of unites for the same cause of improvement and change for the better.
Yes, yes, yes.
Amazing. Thank you, Ashala. This is great.
Yes, so she's definitely involved in this. And our next step is this card is called Take the Tiger by the Tail. It's like pick up the part that is relevant for you and get involved, basically, because get involved in these systems. There's a little bit of the energy of people say, well, I don't want to get invested into something if it's on the wrong side, or there's so much, like you say, there's so much fear and suspicion. But we are part of this, almost like this activation process, and we just need to step in somewhere and start.
Pick up the side.
Pick up a side, and you can always put it down later if things shift. Nothing is guaranteed or written in stone, but it feels like that inert place that we've been stagnant in for a while, waiting to see where all this is leading. It's like we're leading with our faith energetically, our intuition, and saying, let's start somewhere and just pick up that first challenge, get involved. Because I also feel as though these projects, these people that have been doing this, it's like they're kind of burning out. Like they've been doing this work behind the scenes for quite a long time. And it's not the time to abandon them at this point and say, well, we want everything written in stone. We want a guarantee. We want, it's like, it's time to put our faith in somewhere, weigh in somewhere. And like you were saying, with the new crypto technology, whatever these platforms are, to just jump in and get involved on the level that you feel comfortable. Because waiting for the final consensus, 100% seal of approval, I don't know if we're ever really going to get that.
Yes, I think this is such a good point, because a lot of people are still on the fence. And she mentioned this so often. She says, either you are a participant or you're an observer. And I think participating can be in very different ways. It's not just one way you go and you protest peacefully. It's not. It can be many other ways, and speak the truth, and don't wear the mask. And those are the things. Those are the things. And people don't have to be so drastic about participating. I think that's what gets confusing. And I think if I may just say this, because I was thinking about it, I think what happens to majority of people is they are waiting for the leader, or they feel like they need a leader. And this whole shift for humanity right now, for me personally, I see like this is for us to become the leaders without waiting for someone, whoever it might be. That's why this whole situation has been hijacked, because there were people coming forward, taking advantage of it, that there are masses waiting for someone to show the direction.
Yes, exactly. And this is, in a sense, what I've been talking about for a while, which is moving from the masculine model. There's nothing wrong with the masculine model. It's perfectly advantageous under certain situations where we need pragmatism and we need leadership and we need, direction and problem solving and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't work as the only model that our whole world is run through, and the feminine model, which is our empress. So we have the emperor and the empress, kind of duking it out. And for a long time now, it's been, the emperor more or less overshadowing the empress. And we're at this point where it starts to reverse temporarily. We're going to see more of this energy of the feminine, which is more collaborative. It is more organic and multifaceted. Like, we don't necessarily need a leader. We need to cooperate and work together. And there isn't just one answer. We're
Right.
okay with there being, you know, lots of approaches, a multifaceted approach.
Yes.
And there's a kind of synergy that's starting to happen with that. And I feel like this is a larger energy that we're experiencing collectively. And it's scary in a way. You know, one of the things we've grown accustomed to with the patriarchal model is the protected feeling, right? Like, well, if someone else is looking after all those things, I don't have to worry about them.
No.
Someone's looking after, you know, all these details and answering the questions.
Yeah.
And
but where we ended up because of this, putting so much trust in the system all around the world because
yes.
it's safe.
Yes. And unfortunately, you know, that kind of model is open to authoritarianism. It's open to tyranny because, you know, you give someone all, or you give that model a lot of your power, it loses touch with the holistic aspect of life, and it becomes a power dominant model. And
Yes.
that's what we're facing. And like you said, I feel like it's as individuals, we can reclaim that power. And part of that is getting involved, and maybe not, it feels a little bit unsafe or uncertain. We don't have that power dominant energy saying this is 100% true and trustworthy and will protect you.
Yeah.
It
Don't use
does
your
feel a bit,
discernment. Don't think on your own. We will tell you this is good.
yeah, exactly.
So my next question is, I'm wondering if I should jump into Trump card or Simpsons. Let's do Simpsons.
Okay.
So I don't watch this show because I never liked the illustrations, the characters. However, I'm very aware that what they used to do, they used to tell us in advance what they're gonna do. And Simpsons show is one of those shows where you can have all these future events presented. So I came across this video recently. And since pretty much 90% of what they were showing has happened, there is this prediction in that Simpson video that they're gonna remove the resident who's in the White House right now, real or not, and they're gonna replace him with the first woman president, so with Kamala. Now, my question is, because I feel this might actually happen, however, I feel it might not last too long. So that might be for some period of time. Would you be able to look into cards, Ashala, and tell me what you're getting from this? Because this might be the next year experience.
Well, it's interesting because I do get a proposal for this, and I don't know, I almost get a feeling that this person is a puppet leader. Yes. Yeah. So, and you know, there's a little bit of a sense of not necessarily testing the waters, but I don't feel this is set in stone. I feel like it's a possibility. And even I'm getting the message that there's other things that have been shown in that movie that actually haven't happened, or in that series, you know, that Simpsons, that haven't happened. So I don't feel like it's 100%. I feel like it's more these projected possibilities, and then some of them come to pass and some of them don't. So this does feel like something that is a possibility. And it's interesting that we were just talking about the feminine leading. And so on the one hand, I feel like we're ready for this collectively.
But not for this person.
but not for it being done this way. Gosh darn it.
Disclaimer.
Right?
No, I do not like.
Yeah, because that's what I see. I see it's a, you know, a puppet leader, basically, that they're being controlled behind the scenes. So
do you see it might not. It's not like
I feel, and even I get a sense of we will see some shift within 2 months, but it does feel like there's a longer, like 1.5 to 2 years, and it's not decided yet. The timeline feels uncertain.
it's interesting you saying this, because I was lately thinking about it, that everything has been delayed about 2 years. Like we're gonna see the return, we're gonna see those things. However, the timeline has stretched. That's how I feel, because of many other factors, right?
Exactly. And I feel this is important for us to recognize that when we are in this time, and that was that converging roads that I spoke about in your last question, it's also what we call the chaotic nodes, where there's a lot of energies, there's a lot of different agendas that are meeting. Mm-hmm. And when they all kind of smash up together, it's very chaotic. And so in those chaotic nodes are an opportunity, because it's kind of like all the cards have been thrown in the air. Wow. And we have an opportunity as individuals, as citizens, to really get involved at that point, because that is what it feels as though this delay in timelines is, that there's quite a lot of energy being activated, and for say the controllers, things might not be going as smoothly as they anticipated. Mm-hmm. And so when, and I had a dear friend that pointed out to me that they're playing their hands really externally now. Like so much more is out in the open. We're so many of us are digging into things, and information, albeit very confusing and chaotic, is being disclosed so rapidly. And so it's sort of like they're exposed. And when they're in that state, they're very vulnerable, because we have the ability to take that information and move in a million directions with it. So that's what it feels like. The delay in the timelines is because we are taking charge in all these new ways. And that is exponentially growing and will continue.
It's amazing how when we connect, I feel like every time through your reading or your comments, you take me to my next question. It's great. No,
I love
because
it.
It's flow. It's this flow, and it's great.
Totally.
What they need our energy, our attention to fuel them, and we are not giving any. And
many of us are doing the opposite.
Yes.
I feel it's important to speak about one thing at this time, Anya, and it's something that I tell my my students that are studying the tarot and intuition and divination, and that is to ask ourselves why we want this information. Why are we looking? Why are we digging to find these truths? Why are we intuiting and divining and prophesizing about the future? Is it in order to prepare ourselves, or be discouraged, or go, oh no, like look at all these things that are coming at us? Or if you're looking at it in that sensational way,
yes,
where you're treating it like written in stone. And so this is what I talk about with my students all the time. Nothing that comes through intuitively or that's dropped in The Simpsons, nothing of this is written in stone. the timelines are constantly shifting. So it's really more about if we have a sense of what could be happening, like a weather forecast. Well, if we keep doing this, this is one possibility of where we're heading. Well, that information allows us to make adjustments now so that we can change that trajectory. And that's what's so empowering about it.
It's about choices. If we take this information not out of addiction or inner stimulation for some people, but to have an awareness, and the psyche is activated, right? So we can read the energy of, we can sense the truth even of those who pretend to be good. We can sense it.
That's right.
And then we choose.
That's right.
And then we choose. And my last question is actually coming from this, but it's incredible because I already heard it. So for so long, we've heard about this Trump card. This is the Trump card. This is the Trump card. Da, da, da. He has a Trump card. And not only from listening to Tori, but coming to my own conclusion, looking at this, I am realizing that we, the people, are the Trump card. We, the people. So I want you to check, if you don't mind, if that is the case.
Oh, that is so lovely, Anya. I just want to thank you for putting that out there, you know, like, because again, we're coming back to this idea of, you know, anytime we give 100% of our allegiance to anything outside of us, well, we probably stand about a 20 to 30% chance of being disappointed because nobody's perfect, right? Nothing is perfect. And so I love that. I love that question. Before I even look at the cards, the guides are saying it's a stimulus. It's a, you know, these are archetypal stimulus, like the Trump stimulus is just that, you know, it's like, well, here's a model of a way of looking at the world, of a way of approaching things, of a way of like being fierce and, you know, assertive and yeah, like this
and
is
courageous and
courageous and feeling like invincible, right?
Yeah, because
like,
you have divine protection over you. You do.
Yes. Wow. These cards are holy. Yeah, that's it. That's it. It's like and also I'm looking at the strengths and the weaknesses of these archetypes, because if you ever do research into, like Carolyn Meese, for example, she did a lot of work with archetypes, and she talks about every archetype. So the Trump energy is an archetype for sure. We can all agree on that. And everyone has its incredible strengths and its shadow. Every single one has shadow aspects. So the shadow aspect of this is, again, it brings us back around to that power dominant model, where anytime we give 100% of our allegiance in a direction and don't retain a sense of personal autonomy, where it's like we could shift our choices in the moment. We're not like, it's not like we put on this kind of,
yeah, we lost in them. We like
idea, like a thinking cap, like, okay, this is my reality and I'm not taking this off no matter what, because it's too scary to not have this protection.
But they still have it.
Yes. So if we can stay in that, like, wow, I see all the benefit of this archetype, and we are that, like, we've created that externally in our government, because we are rising to that challenge. We are becoming that kind of being, especially those of us that really admire that energy. We also must be aware of the shadow aspects of that energy. And that is what we're being, you know, that's the alternate perspective, because we're often afraid to acknowledge, well, if it's not 100% true, then I can't put any faith in it because it's not right. And there's no such thing really in this world. It's the yin yang principle.
Yes.
There's no such thing as 100% anything. So, you know, it's almost like this character, this archetype has done the work for us externally, showing us this is the strength. These are my weaknesses. Work on this, folks. Like, let me show you how it's done, but also how it's not done. You know, and that gives us
we
the
are
opportunity.
the start. We are this final nail in the coffin.
Yes.
Boom, like this, like boom. This is the people now.
Yes. Yes, because you know, it's each of us being strong and independent and individual in our character. And it's also each of us recognizing that, like nothing, again, like I say, nothing is 100%.
It's amazing. That's why nothing can stop what's coming. Because this energy is, like you already said, it's already activated. And you can't go back. You can't turn it around. Like the stream is moving and it's gonna, like the snowball, it's gonna pick up more and more as it's rolling. Wow. Okay.
Well, and it's a little bit like, you know, these are the leaders, these are the archetypal leaders of our time. And are they there for us or are we there for them? You know, they're like, they're there to show us something that we're ready to step into.
And I think, because I never was into those topics before, I swear, before all of this pandemic started, I am realizing now how important it is who is in every position that has some sort of power. And it's not just the governors and the president of the country. I'm talking like everywhere, pretty much everywhere. The courts, the school, everywhere, Ashala. This is just, but the good thing is, because I think what happened, people think that you cannot touch those people in a way, like you cannot remove them, even though they actually, some of them, because, you know, they fake the, you know what they fake, results.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm talking on the smaller scales. Yes, you can, like you actually, even on the bigger scale, you can, you always can. It's just how to say no more, because you are there for us and you need us. But if you don't deliver, thank you, goodbye.
Yes, exactly. You know, and I feel like this whole archetypal energy, that Trump energy, you know, part of the message is that at the last minute, this powerful force can come in and trump those long-standing agendas and plans that have been put in place for for eons. You know, like it, and that energy is certainly part of the psyche of America, of the the United States. It's that we will recreate ourselves.
You know, I thank you for saying that, because I wanted to ask you one more question, then I wasn't sure if we have enough time, but just briefly maybe on this, because I've mentioned to you, Ashala, before we started recording, I've been listening to several astrology charts lately, different types of astrology. And in one of those astrology predictions for 2022, and I am not doom and gloom at all, I'm not, but I just listen to have an idea what different charts or different predictions are saying, and if there is a common ground, right? And in one of them, it was saying about enormous hardship for United States next year. So since you've mentioned this now, that this is that we the people, right, is that core of United States, and that rebirth is coming. Would you be able to see, and I'm not talking later on, but this like the nearest future, let's say the next year, what is the overall situation with US? Because like we know, the whole world is watching, right? And get discouraged or encouraged, depends.
Interesting. It's kind of fascinating, really. I've got like a real blend of things here, and that indicates to me that it could go two ways, although I gotta say, I don't really see anything bad. Okay, I don't really see massive hardship. Like, here's a card, the moon, which is, it's scary. It's scary. Moon is like the subconscious. It's like going through the transition that you're afraid of. It's like facing your fears kind of thing, right? But it's qualified by the Three of Wands. The Three of Wands is like experimenting, exploring, being adventurous, being open-minded, being creative. So we are going through this very kind of scary transitional phase, but overlaying that is that it's activated us and we're actually capable of more than we thought we were. So that's one. You know, we are, the Lover's card is a lot about like making choices. So we are faced with massive choices, and we are also faced with feeling, on the one hand, we are leading, everyone is watching us. The Hermit is like, he follows his own inner light or inner guidance. So it's like we are leading, our constitution, or I should say your constitution is leading, these freedoms are leading, this attitude is leading. Is it for sure that we're going to get through this? I think there's a really good chance. This is our near future, even based on where we are right now. The Ace of Wands is like, it's like the spark, it's the catalyst. So that feels hopeful to me. That doesn't feel like doom and gloom. We have the Empress, again, that feminine energy, you know, connecting in a more cooperative, balanced way with our future. Eight of Cups is, you know, there'll be time, we'll have the time. This is what I keep getting, where it's not going to all be this crash and burn, and that it's the fear of that it sort of freezes us and makes us immobilized. So let's melt that. Let's really melt that, especially over the next 6 or 8 weeks. Let's warm that fear up with the sun. And, you know, there could be a more stable long-term, the King of Pentacles, he is like so amazingly strong. He's like, you know, resource-based, and the banker, and the you know, the farmer, very, very practical, very
perfect
strong,
life
supportive.
partner, Ashala, perfect life.
Right, the perfect life partner.
This card, please.
And that's, you know, he's next to the sun. So in terms of, if we're looking at, you know, America and what's going to happen, I feel like, yeah, we're going through this scary thing for sure, but it is showing us our strengths. Good. And it feels like we're going to grab a hold of that catalyst and go with it.
Thank you so much for today. I absolutely love this. It was a little bit different tone, but at the end, isn't it? It's all on the very strong spiritual foundation. Those are, like you said, the archetypes. It's it's really not, people think that politics is, I think it's very, almost, it's like a theater. It's like a performance, like a Shakespeare. It's like Shakespeare.
Yes.
Honestly, it's like on stage. Life is a stage, and then you have those
Yeah.
marionettes, and they represent something. And
Well, they represent us. They represent, literally, they represent us, and they also represent where our psyche is at. You know, they represent the battles that we're struggling within. So that's part of the excitement, is as we grow and we face our fears, the outside is going to start to look more and more like that. And I think it's important to remember, you know, Esther and Jerry Hicks talk about, yeah, they talk about that, how we are really living now in the energy of what we were a few months back. So it takes time for the outer to catch up with our inner energy frequency. So
thank
as
you,
much as
Ashala.
possible, hang in there, folks, because
Thank you so much. Thank you for even mentioning them, because one of my favorite teachers, Abraham, and I know lately it's quite controversial about Esther, this and this, but they always say it's already past tense, like you're saying. It's so true what you just said. Whatever is happening right now, it's the manifestation that is already past.
yes. So and it's basically like the feedback. It's like when you call and you get an echo coming back, you know, this is the echo. It's like, oh, right, yeah, I want to change this echo. I want to I'm going to change my call. My next call out is going to look different. So it's basically,
so whatever you do comes back to you, right? Whatever you do comes back to you.
Definitely.
Thank you so much, everyone. Please check Ashala's channel. And if you're interested in booking personal reading with Ashala, amazing like this today, the links are down below. And until next time, thank you, everyone.
Until next time. Bye-bye now.